Hi, I'm Jerry Johnson, host of The Wealth of Prophecy. Glad that you've joined us again for our first YouTube video update. We hope to have many more of these as we're getting prepared and set up to tape them. And so, but we want to do an update from our previous programs. If you've been watching our YouTube videos, you know that we had the opportunity to be on World Harvest Television on a program called Healing Miracles with Joan Abel. And Joan asked me to look into the prophetic scriptures concerning the weather, and especially what happens when nations begin to distress Israel and Jerusalem, and are these weather events related when we do that. Now, the Word of God says in Isaiah that they are. Listen to these words from the prophet Isaiah, and this is in chapter 29, verse 6. It says, "You will be punished by the Lord of hosts with thunder and earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and flame of devouring fire. The multitude of all nations who fight against Ariel." And let me remind you that Ariel is an old name for the city of Jerusalem. "Even all who fight against her," that's Jerusalem, "and her fortress, and distress her, shall be as a dream of a night vision." And so it goes on to say, "It shall even be as when a hungry man dreams, and he looks, he eats, but he awakes, and his soul is still empty. Or as when a thirsty man dreams, and he looks, and he drinks, but he awakes, and indeed he is faint, and his soul still craves. So the multitude of all nations shall be who fight against Mount Zion." So we talked about what happens when all nations begin to distress Israel and Jerusalem to give up land for peace. We will have these weather-related judgments. So in September, I noticed that we had peace talks being led by the United States and other nations over in Israel. And so I began to watch the weather and what was happening. And so I want you to watch these clips, keeping in mind Isaiah 29 there, and all these clips. You'll see our president talking on September 1st about the peace talks and what he wants to do, how he wants to get 1967 borders back for Jerusalem. And you'll see all these weather-related events begin to happen to our country just as Isaiah described. So watch these clips there, and we'll be right back in a few moments.
Good afternoon, everybody. Upon taking office, I declared that America is a friend of each nation and every person who seeks a future of peace and dignity, and that the United States was ready to lead in pursuit of that future. At the beginning of my administration, I stated that it was our policy to actively and aggressively seek a lasting peace between Israel and the Palestinians, as well as a comprehensive peace between Israel and all of its Arab neighbors. And to support my outstanding Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton's leadership, I appointed a special envoy and one of our nation's finest statesmen, former Senator George Mitchell, to guide our efforts. As I've said many times, our goal is a two-state solution that ends the conflict and ensures the rights and security of both Israelis and Palestinians. And despite the inevitable challenges, we have never wavered in pursuit of this goal. Tomorrow, after nearly 2 years, the parties will relaunch those direct talks. Today, I had a series of very productive. The purpose of these talks is clear. These will be direct negotiations between Israelis and Palestinians. These negotiations are intended to resolve all final status issues. The goal is a settlement negotiated between the parties that ends the occupation which began in 1967 and results in the emergence of an independent, democratic, and viable Palestinian state, living side by side in peace and security with a Jewish state of Israel and its other neighbors. That's the vision we are pursuing.
Big story now, and that's Earl. Fox News weather alert now, an intense Category 4 storm overnight and intensified. As Earl heads closer now to the East Coast, folks in parts of North Carolina told to get out. Tropical storm warnings also in effect from Delaware all the way up to New York and Massachusetts and Maine, where that storm could hit by Saturday. That's a look at Thursday later tonight. Then we go into Friday up the northeastern seaboard. By late Friday night, you see that massive storm system literally move out to sea. It's going to be on a beeline later tonight, and that might be the best news possible for folks here in the Northeast.
Early morning earthquake rattles parts of New Zealand, doing some damage to a major city there. Geologists say the magnitude 7.0 quake was centered about 19 miles outside of Christchurch. That's on New Zealand's South Island. It is the second largest city in the country. Video from Christchurch shows extensive damage to several buildings and cars. Police say they shut down the streets while they get a look at the wreckage there. So far, we have not heard any reports of serious injuries from the quake.
Well, Earl was kind of lame. I mean, it was good. He didn't really do any damage, but there's a new tropical storm warning just issued for the coast of southern Texas. The storm is gaining strength overnight, forming into what's being called HerMean. It's packing winds of up to 40 miles an hour and is now headed towards the borders of Texas and Mexico. Janice Dean is tracking it for us in the Fox Weather Center. Hello, Janice. What do you think about this one?
Well, its name is HerMean. Do you think it's going to do a lot of damage?
You never know.
You're right, Juliet. And actually, the storm last week that we were talking about, that actually did a lot of damage to parts of Atlantic Canada. Earl was the name. You know, I'm pregnant. I can't even remember I can't even remember my name, so I apologize. I didn't remember
Your
Earl's name.
Your name is Janice.
I have stuff written down. I apologize, folks. It's all out the window. But this is HerMean, and HerMean formed overnight last night. I was hoping for a really easy Labor Day in the Weather Center. Not so much, guys. So HerMean, 45 mile per hour sustained winds. So that is a tropical storm. We think actually HerMean could reach around 60 miles per hour as it makes landfall overnight tonight on the border of Mexico and Texas. And the legacy of this storm is going to be heavy rain. So yeah, we could see some potential damage from this storm. Just want to show you some offshore winds, anywhere from 20 to 25 miles per hour. Outer bands already coming onshore for much of the coast of Texas. So guys, we're going to be dealing with a tropical storm, unfortunately, for your Labor Day and into tomorrow. So you can see some of that rain moving into Corpus Christi all the way up towards Houston. And let's take a look at where we're going to see some flooding, potential for 2 to 5 inches. Isolated amounts, guys, of 5 to 10 inches, so that could cause some mudslides, especially in the mountainous regions. There is your path for HerMean. Again, not expecting it to become a hurricane, but a formidable tropical storm within the next 24 hours. So tropical storm warnings are issued for the coast of Texas and parts of the coast of Mexico.
There you go.
Well, Texas is bracing for extensive flash flooding as tropical storm HerMean moves further inland. The storm could dump up to a foot of rain in some parts of the Lone Star State. Janice Dean is live following all this in the Extreme Weather Center. Janice, give us an update.
Well, we just saw a live picture of Galveston. You want to put that up for a second? Flash flood watch for you in Galveston. There you go. You can see the surf. Surf is high. Clouds are in. And there is a flag a-blowing because it's very windy. We almost got up to a hurricane status. Can you believe it was a tropical storm for less than 12 hours and almost reached hurricane status? If you weren't watching TV this weekend, you didn't realize we had a tropical storm that made landfall in Texas. And some of these winds, almost hurricane-force winds, Corpus Christi, Kingsville, up towards Brownsville.
Firefighters here in Colorado are battling a wicked fire. That fire has already destroyed dozens of homes and caused hundreds to evacuate. Eyewitness News reporter Alan Janae is near the scene with the latest developments.
Firefighters are scrambling to stop more homes from burning in the Colorado foothills. Wind-driven flames have already ripped through dozens of homes. At least 4 belong to firefighters battling the blaze. Flames roaring through the rugged canyons forced hundreds of residents from their homes. Tom Newer tried to save his house.
I was putting out those spot fires, but once that firestorm hit and the trees just ignited, the flames were up about 200 feet in the air.
Pine trees in the canyons are fueling the flames. A lack of rain in this area is making them prone to fire. Crews are battling the blaze from above, but gusts are driving the fire in different directions, making it difficult to control. The winds are better today, giving firefighters a chance to make some headway.
Yesterday, as you know, we had gusts up to 45 miles per hour. Today, what the prediction is 3 to 6 miles per hour, so that's much favorable for the firefighters today.
So far, 3,500 acres are charred.
This big box right here is all of our family photo albums.
Mike Imperi raced home to save some cherished possessions and his cat. It's the third time he's had to evacuate.
This is a different kind of fire than the other two. This one seems a little scarier.
Investigators don't know yet what set off the fire. So far, there have been no deaths or injuries.
Alan Janae reporting there. For the latest on this story, just log on to our website, WP.
Prophet Isaiah, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, prophesied through the Holy Spirit that when we distress Jerusalem, we will have these weather-related judgments come upon us. And we have, this past September and October, experienced unusual weather judgments as we have been pressuring Israel to give up land. If you'd like more information, and I would encourage you to dig into this if you're interested, by reading John McTernan's book, As America Has Done to Israel. It's a great book with a lot of good information and documentation of many more storms than we can cover in this brief video. And also Bill Keene's book, Eye to Eye, is a great book, and it has more documentation also about the storms and what happens when we do pressure Israel to give up land for peace. Well, that's today's prophecy update. We encourage you to listen to our weekly radio ministry on WPTJ 90.7 The Wind. You can go to WPTJ.org and click Listen Online, and we have our weekly broadcast at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we encourage you to listen to our weekly radio ministry on 90.7 The Wind at WPTJ.org at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday mornings. Well, until next time, this is Jerry Johnson, your host for The Wealth of Prophecy.